This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Aurora, Colorado. I am here at ICS of Colorado. Since 1967, they have provided professional private investigators across the entire state of Colorado with affiliates nationwide across the world, ready for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm here with Grant, who is the president, owner-operator, licensed private investigator. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You spent really full-time over a dozen years in public safety. You were a prior owner in the state of California, providing protection for executives, people out there. Share with me a little bit how this got involved. I mean, how'd you get started doing this type of industry?
Sure. So ICS Colorado actually started in 2012. It started in 1967 nationwide in Arizona. In 2012, I came here. Prior to that, my background was public safety. After 5 years, actually, after 3 years, started a business up out there, Gideon Protective Services, which I had recently sold, where we conducted basically threat assessments, firearms training, the executive protection for executives and such. I did that on the side and started doing cases for ICS of California. Well, after a couple of years, they said, "Hey, you want to come out to Colorado and run our office?" And I'm like, "Well, what does that entail?" And so we ended up here in 2012.
Excellent. I mean, the organization's been around since the 60s. Here in 2012, you've been serving the public. I mean, really, what viewers out there know about private investigators is pretty much what we learn off of TV. And thankful to TV, they can cut to the chase and eliminate hours of behind the scenes. Are there a lot of minutes, details, hours that people don't even realize take place in an investigation?
Yes, sir. Most of what you see on TV is not accurate. You're going to see the beads and the smoke in the offices. We don't have that, as you can see. A lot of what is depicted by Hollywood's not accurate. A lot of our investigations take place over the phone, the internet, in person, depending if the client comes in. And then depending on what kind of investigation, it depends on the logistics. A lot of what we do, no one knows that we're doing it. Hollywood likes to glamorize that, or even in negative and positive. Most of the time, no one knows we're there.
Interesting. I mean, in the state of Colorado, are you required to be licensed to be an investigator? Is it really regulated by the state? And are there exams that take place and different levels of licensing?
You bet, of course. Actually, in the beginning, though, Colorado was unlicensed until about 2 years ago, where licensing had to become mandatory through DORA, which is the Department of Regulatory Agencies. So as soon as that became mandatory, we were licensed. Before that, we were licensed out of California until Colorado had their own licensing. So regulated background, have to have insurance, all with the oversight of DORA.
Interesting. I mean, this is an occupation that doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. The weekends doesn't mean your job ends. You're really available for folks 24/7 around the clock. Life happens all the time. Is that an important aspect to make sure that you're available and ready when the need arises?
Yep, most of our business hours are 8:30 to 4:30. There's someone usually in our office here Monday through Friday. After hours, weekends, nights, if someone calls, depending on the case, we'll either get to them, or if it can wait, we'll contact the next day. Cases, however, get scheduled 24/7. Now, most of the time, the longest case, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we're usually done, if not before. But those are usually scheduled in advance.
Be it a business or an individual that maybe is suspecting there's some wrongdoing, something's not right. Maybe they're hesitant or even afraid to make that first call. How important is it that they know that this is discreet and confidential?
Everything here is discreet and confidential. You're exactly right. The professionalism of the folks I hire, based off my background, everything is discreet, confidential. Everybody gets a free consultation because we can't offer services if we don't know what's going on. So when we're talking to folks, just like you and I are talking, we want to talk to them. What's their situation? Can we do something for them? If we can't, we tell them that. And if something changes, we want them to have a comfort level with us. Call us up later. We'll revisit it, and maybe then there's something we can do.
What about an individual out there that maybe turns to a friend or a relative or even worse, hires somebody off Craigslist to look into it for them? Why it is important that we turn to a professional, somebody who's licensed, insured, bonded, making sure they're going to adhere to the federal, state, local laws? Why is that important?
Exactly. You don't want to break the law. So your friend that you find on Craigslist or a friend of yours might be able to do some work. But even in public records, you have to know how to obtain that information, where to search. And that's how we know how to do those things. If you're operating in public, whether through surveillance or you're going to conduct interviews, if you're not trained in how to do that, you're going to not get a good interview, or you're going to come off aggressive, or you're going to do something that's going to overstep bounds. Therefore, you could have a legal problem.
Interesting. Obviously, it seems like there's many areas where you could actually utilize a private investigator. Let's go ahead and touch on a few of them. Let's start off first one that many of us are familiar with, which is on TV, we see infidelity. Basically something out there with cheating, anything to do with divorce. People, what are the services you provide there?
So as far as infidelity, marital matters, lots of things can happen. It could evolve with a child custody issue as well. So in that is going to be what you see on TV, the surveillance. However, when we do surveillance, they're not supposed to know we're there. We're not confrontational. We never go up and say, hey, we caught you. We record the data, whatever that is, good and bad. We've got a pretty much 50-50. Sometimes the suspicions are accurate and we prove infidelity, and sometimes it's not, and it's just some other issue. There's a chance for restoration of that relationship. There's record searching that goes on that can spin off of that, background investigations, asset searches, as far as the infidelity side.
Interesting. In the unfortunate event that divorce results, how important is it for them to be able to provide proof of an affair when it comes to even separating assets fairly?
So Colorado's a no-fault state. So if we prove infidelity to the court, it doesn't really help when it comes down to getting a divorce. Where it could come into play is child custody issues. Are they doing things that are unfit? Have we crossed into illegal activity? Those things matter. But a lot of the times, it's peace of mind. The client wants to know for sure, is this happening or is this not happening? And that's usually where it comes out first.
Very interesting. What about someone who's gone through divorce, maybe a separation, and they now kind of suspect that the best interest of their child is not at hand, basically even maybe getting child support, getting paid? Are those areas that you can help as well?
Correct. If someone is not paying child support, it could be that they're actually unemployed, but it could be that they're also hiding their employment because they changed it. So there's lots of ways to show or to help support, is there an employment issue, which can then lead to garnishment of their wages and so forth. That can be done through surveillance. That can be done through record checks to see, is this person working? And if so, are they hiding or concealing their job? And then that can be reported, and then that other party can chase that down with the help of an attorney to try to get what's theirs.
Also in your line of work, you're not only finding wrongdoing out there, but you're also finding people. Missing persons, people that have disappeared. Share with me a little bit about the service.
Tracking people for whatever the legal reason, we are very good at. We do all the time, whether it's marital, infidelity, child custody, and in missing persons you referenced. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a case come from out of state, and the mother had kidnapped the children per court documents. She basically was guilty of parental kidnapping. Investigator called, talked to several people who did not know how to run such an investigation, called us, we walked through it, said here's what we can do. A lot of it relies on law enforcement, their cooperation, and then a lot of it lies on is the court paperwork, official, set, and in place, because a lot of times it's not. So once we made sure all that was accurate, we took the information that the out-of-state investigator had. It was good info. We chased it down. We did our work on scene to prove or to know or confirm the children were inside. We got Denver police involved. They came. We were able to secure the children. Mom later was arrested. She also had a warrant. And Dad was actually on his way here and was reunited with his children later that day.
That's very impressive. As a business owner, in this day and age, I cannot be too overly cautious or careful who I hire, who I associate with. How important are Colorado background checks? Is a valuable tool for companies out there to utilize, and are you able to help them there?
Absolutely. The wording on that's going to be a due diligence report. Anyone that's going to go into business relationship, it's good practice to have everyone sign a disclosure and a release to show their cards. If they've already come to terms, to make sure what they say is accurate and verify. We had a case where a gal bought a beauty salon at a mall in Colorado Springs by someone who didn't own it. So she gave them the money, thought she had the keys, went to open it, and it didn't open. She was completely defrauded. So due diligence can be very small level, all the way up to really high level, take a couple weeks. It's good prudence.
Interesting. I mean, one area that is can be rather big. I mean, when we're talking thousands of dollars at stake, and possible wrongdoing or abuse would be that of insurance. We're talking about insurance claims, fraud, theft, life insurance. Walk me down that a little bit.
Absolutely. Theft cases happen inside businesses all the time. And a lot of times, if there's no proof of it, law enforcement can't write a complaint, even though there's a victim, but there's nothing to go on. We can come in as private investigators with the consent of the owner or the operators of the business. And if they've got things arranged with their employees, have them talk to us and interview them. I've got great guys on my staff that know how to conduct interviews very well to extract information, myself included. And case in point, we had one earlier this year. This person stole $4,500 from his boss. And one of my guys got the confession, wrote it down, showed how he did it, and other stuff that he had stole from the employer. So we can come in that capacity as well. We do that all the time. The other side of that's fraud, insurance fraud, work comp. We do a fair amount of work comp. And again, like infidelity, not everyone is faking the injury. And so we show, hey, they're hurt, and we document that and report in the media. We'll show it. And if they are committing fraud because they're claiming to be totally disabled and they're out front playing football, we're going to show that as well.
Interesting. I mean, obviously, the business wants to protect their workers while they're out there, but at the end of the day, they want to find out the truth about it and make sure that it's not being abused as well. I mean, obviously, many, many services you provide, not only for businesses and individuals. We're scrolling across the screen right now, a pretty comprehensive list of everything you provide, many years of experience. Regardless of the service you provide for folks, how important is it for them to respond quickly? I mean, how much does it matter as far as the success of the case that they pick up the phone and get you involved?
Time is always of the essence. We'll have folks call with stuff that happened a year ago. Not a lot of left to the trail. If something's fresh, couple weeks, couple days, or that day, we'll get calls like that. And then we can usually go as quick as they're ready. We have to, because we're licensed in the state, we have to have an agreement with the client. So there's some administrative paperwork that takes a little bit of time, but we do all that electronically. And then we need the case info. So whatever the case may be, we need the info so we can get started. Depending on the case, we can be rolling in just a few hours or even a day with some kind of advance notice, and then we'll shuffle that within all the caseload. And it's not unheard of for my guys to bounce from 3 or 4 different cases in a day or over the course of a couple of days to get it all worked.
So obviously, the quicker you can get it going, the better in the long run. As far as the simplicity of getting it started, I mean, does it really just start with a phone call, reaching out via your website, and this is discreet, it's confidential, and it's also a free consultation on the front end?
It is. Most folks find us on the internet somehow through different marketing campaigns. But once they end up on our website, there's a contact form. They hit that contact form, or they can call us direct. And so if they email us and it's during business hours, they will get contacted. If we're not on the phone, within minutes, and if we're on the phone, as soon as we're done, they're going to get a call. They're also going to get an email, and then if they call us and we answer, or we call them back, they're going to get a consultation so they can start that process. And sometimes 90% start when they call, during that call. The other 10% think about it, maybe need to work out some details, get some info, and they call us back, and then we'll same process, free consultation, and we'll get it underway.
That is great. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, first of all, take a look at all the different services they provide for you out there, not only for individuals, but for businesses, companies, organizations. This is a gentleman that basically has served across multiple states, California, here to Colorado. He has worked in public safety for 14 plus years and basically understands the network that is needed to put a real case together. And at the end of the day, find the truth for you. Provide that peace of mind knowing what is out there. Also on the website, you can take a look at the different requirements it takes just to be licensed now in the state of Colorado. You can check out the recent investigations that they have worked on in the past. And obviously, like I said, it's an initial free consultation there. You've been involved in public service, public safety for many years. But like you said, you had a company that you started back there in California. You now offer that here in Colorado. Basically protecting executives, protecting high profile, even politicians here in Colorado. Tell me a little bit about that service.
You bet. So being in law enforcement, there were a lot of crossover skills that can come into the private sector. And so once we got here, we brought those skills. So dealing with executive protection, dignitary protection, we're carrying weapons because that's how you defend people in those kinds of situations. So part of that spawned also a training section where we've got security clients that we train their folks in weaponry. Private clients can call us for training, whether empty-hand defense or firearms. Pistol, rifle, shotgun, it doesn't matter. And then my guys that train in that obviously also do executive protection. It's a smaller part of the business because it's a smaller clientele. And so whether they're a recurring client or they call up and need services, we can take care of them. The last two that we did here this month, actually they were in November, was the author of the Da Vinci Code, and then also Mr. Siegel, who's a television actor, writes books and so forth. Both of those gentlemen came into Colorado here in November, and ICS was fortunate enough to take care of them while they were here.
That is excellent. Let me ask you this. You've been involved in this industry for quite a few years now. When someone makes a call and you speak to them initially, I imagine they're a little distraught, possibly overwhelmed with what needs to take place, maybe afraid that they're taking the first formal step. But really, at the end of the day, they're seeking truth. When you're able to hand over that truth, be it alarming, satisfying, is it rewarding for you to present that? It
is. We're human beings. There's different images out there that could be a bad connotation. We're human beings too, and we like it when the case is closed and we give them the information they're looking for, whether they like it or they don't like it, depending if it's positive or negative. We talk to them as you and I are talking. I know that there's been some competitors of ours that just quote a price and they're rude and obnoxious. We're humans. So when you call, we're going to talk to you, and if we can help you, we're going to tell you, and if we can't, we're not going to string you along. And when we have to deliver bad news, we're tactful. We know how to do that, and that comes from hiring people that have real world experience, whether they come from military intelligence or reconnaissance, those areas that cross over into this sector, or they came from law enforcement. You're trained in how to speak to people, and so those are the folks that we hire, and so we can be a human being. We can relate to the client.
A lot of details behind the scene as we discussed. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see his contact information. This is a company that began here in Colorado in 2012. The actual organization has really affiliates, a network worldwide since the 60s. If you basically suspect some wrongdoing, definitely make a phone call, set up a consultation, and it's best to find out. I mean, if you're looking for proof, they're going to find it. If you're looking for people, they're going to find them. But at the end of the day, if you're really looking for closure, you're looking for answers, definitely hire a professional. They're available for you 24/7 to set up a consultation and discuss the details of what your case may be. Once again, that is ICS Colorado, located here in Denver. Wherever you need us to be, we are already there. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.